Fumiya was an ugly gaming addict with no social life or friends. However, everything changes when he beats the most popular girl in a game, and she agrees to teach him how to rizz up girls in return, making him the ultimate Giga Chad. The story begins with Fumiya playing the TACFAM video game with Shuji, the most popular guy in his school. About 2 rounds in, Fumiya effortlessly defeats Shuji because he's secretly ranked top 1 in the world. But it annoys Shuji because Fumiya is just a bottom-tier side character. In his absence, Fumiya walks home alone and blames life for being so unfair to him, because he is a virgin loser with the social presence of a mosquito and no good looks. A bit later, Fumiya gets home to play the TACFAM video game and gets paired up against a player named No Name, who is the second best gamer in Japan. During the match, Fumiya realizes that No Name is cracked, so he locks in and uses all his gamer brain cells to defeat his opponent. Right after the match, No Name suddenly asks to meet in person, and Fumiya agrees. The following day at school, Fumiya expects that news of him beating Shuji in TACFAM to have gone viral, but since no one cares about his existence, nobody is talking about it. During break time, Fumiya is on his way to lunch when a girl named Aoi suddenly calls on him and asks about his match with Shuji, but Shuji tells her to stop talking to Fumiya, because he's embarrassed that he lost. The following weekend, Fumiya heads out to meet No Name for the first time at a station, but he's shocked when he sees that No Name is actually Aoi. On the other hand, Aoi is very disappointed that she has been dueling with a loser built like Gojo's left sack, and she makes sure Fumiya knows how she feels about him. Annoyed by this, Fumiya tells her she went too far with her insult, but she claims that she is just stating facts. To prove her point, she reveals that he's dressed as if he just survived a zombie apocalypse, and looking like that while meeting someone new is quite rude. As she turns to leave, Fumiya stops her and tells her that just because life is good to her, it does not mean that it isn't a garbage can to others. He then adds that he's always struggled to cope in social settings, but he has given up on that, and she shouldn't judge him for not caring anymore. At this, Aoi replies that he is just coming up with excuses because he lost the game of life without even trying. Though Fumiya understands where she is coming from, he still feels that characters cannot be changed in real life because he thinks if he were popular, then he would have had a better chance at winning. To prove him wrong, Aoi grabs his hand and takes him to her apartment. Getting there, Aoi changes into her home fit, which makes her look so different that Fumiya barely recognizes her. He is shocked to his bones when Aoi reveals that she's the one, and that she only took off her chest pads and makeup. Aoi then uses this as a point to educate him that, with little effort, he can change his appearance, which would make people not see him as a loser anymore. When she remembers how she always held him in high esteem during their TACFAM quest, only to eventually meet with him in person and see that he is just a loser who has given up on life, it infuriates her that the person beating her in a video game is a worthless jerk. With that, she informs him that she will teach him the rules of the game of life, but only gets him interested when she says life is as top tier as the TACFAM video game. When asked for the rules on how to play the game of life, Aoi reveals that the first thing they have to do is character creation. Shortly after, she takes him out for lunch, where she shows him that smiling can change one's expression. She then gives him a nose mask and insists he wears it at all times, so he can practice his smile without anyone seeing the ticking time bomb facial expression he has. She also reveals that they will be meeting in an old classroom at school after classes for more lectures. That evening, Fumiya gets home and tries to practice his smile in front of the mirror, but his smile almost cracks the mirror in half. His sister sees him and quickly tells him to stop what he's doing because he's acting like a creep, but even after she leaves, he keeps practicing. The following week, Fumiya resumes his first class with Aoi, who immediately enters teacher mode and starts dishing out the goals he has to work towards. One of them entails that he will need to get a girlfriend before the next year, which leaves him shocked. Aoi then casually continues and informs him that he will be speaking to at least 3 chicks before the end of the day, or he'll develop sausage cancer. One of the unspoken rules in Fumiya's school is that only the baddies wear a necktie, while the others settle for a ribbon, and Aoi instructs him that the 2 of the chicks he must speak to must be baddies. Acting on this, he summons courage and turns to Izume, the baddie who sits beside him in class, to make small talk by asking if she has tissues. Unfortunately, Izume does not have tissues, so she turns to Fuka, a non-baddie who sits behind her, to ask if she has. Fuka immediately hands her one, and she passes it to Fumiya before running off to join her friends. Fumiya thanks Fuka for her gesture and wonders if talking to her also counts. He then removes his mask to blow his nose, which makes Fuka question why he is grinning like the Joker. He quickly comes up with a stupid lie, while Aoi, who is watching from afar, just sighs at his foolishness. After the little mishap, Fumiya heads to the home economics lab only to see Minami, another baddie in his class. As he walks to his seat, Minami tells him what's up, which startles him because his virgin brain can't comprehend another baddie talking to him. He then sits in front of her and starts to make small talk until he starts to say things that make absolutely no sense. Minami, however, laughs in response like she just heard the joke of the century, which makes him feel embarrassed, so he starts to explain where he is coming from. This just makes Minami laugh more until Tama, another member of their class, interrupts her to ask if she is okay. Minami explains to Tama about how he was sounding like some old dude, so Tama calls on him to explain himself. Before he can explain, Shuji and his guys join them to ask what is going on, so he has no choice but to explain what he said to all of them. After he is done, Minami bursts into another round of laughter, but Shuji and the others just stare at him dumbly before talking about how dry the joke is. Minami quickly claims that the guys have a busted sense of humor, which makes Shuji suggest that they vote to find out who the weird one is. Shuji and his guys vote in favor of Shuji, while Minami votes for herself. Aoi then joins in to also vote for Minami, but Shuji just tells Aoi to mind her business. This just makes Aoi reveal that he lost to Fumiya in TACFAM, which leaves the whole class in shock, and as Aoi continues to mock him, the whole class erupts in laughter. Aoi then asks for people in support of Minami, and Fumiya and Tama signify to show their support. Seeing this, Shuji angrily challenges Fumiya to another round of TACFAM. After the class, Fumiya thanks Aoi for saving them earlier, but she tells him not to sweat it because she was listening to their conversation from afar and she found his joke funny. A few hours later, Fumiya and Aoi settle at their usual spot for a debrief. She informs him that Shuji has been holding a grudge against him since his TACFAM defeat, and since he is popular, he may want to use his rank to bully him, so she had to step in to stop that from happening. Though he finds her fairly terrifying, he thanks her for her help, and she lets him know that the little stunt he pulled during the home economics class made his practice for the day a success. However, she points out that his tissue situation with Fuka is nothing to write home about, and tells him to get ready for their meeting the next day. The following morning, Aoi teaches him how to work on his posture. While at it, she suddenly grabs his rice cakes, claiming it is part of the routine. After that, she takes a look at his posture and instructs him to always stand like that at all times. She then informs him that he must talk to someone in her friend circle over the course of the day and must continue like that for the whole week. He immediately acts like a deflated balloon, but she orders him to correct his posture. After they are done with their classes for the day, he heads home in the company of Aoi and her friends. Her friends start to discuss the exercises they do, and he foolishly joins in to ask if they work on their rice cakes too. Hearing this makes the others stare at him in surprise, so Aoi quickly saves him by talking about how she does the workout. When they get to the bus station, he thanks her for saving him once again, but she just informs him that he and Minami are heading in the same direction, so he must talk to her. Fumiya and Minami then head home together, and Minami uses the chance to ask if he has been hooking up with Aoi since they seem close. Fumiya quickly clears the air by stating that a hot chick like Aoi can never have anything to do with a loser like him. As they continue the journey, Minami encourages him to try to have more fun, but he replies that he does not really fancy the concept of fun itself. Hearing this, Minami lets him know that he is similar to Tama in that sense, but as for her, she loves to make things fun. She then opens up that despite her bubbly self, she also has her worries, but her worries cannot be up to Tama's, which is why she always tries to protect her in her own little way. The following day at school, Fumiya gives Aoi reports on his previous day's interaction with Minami. Though he explains that Minami did all the talking, Aoi points out that he is good at speaking his mind. Since he does not agree, she explains that Minami is someone who agrees with what people around her say, which makes him finally understand where she is coming from. She then informs him that he can use this skill of his as a weapon to get out of trouble if he ever gets into one. For his next quest, she informs him that he needs to practice how to introduce new topics in group discussions, and hands him a flashcard containing topics he can read about. She also hands him a pocket recorder that has been recording their conversations and encourages him to always go back to listen to them. After that, she suggests that they meet at a station during the weekend, because she plans to spend the weekend with him. The following weekend, Fumiya meets with Aoi, who compliments his outfit choice for the first time. After that, she takes him to a boutique to pick out more outfits to help his fashion-deprived self. As they look through the outfits, he points at an outfit that catches his attention, and she tells him to go ask an attendant about it, but he contemplates because he cannot handle basic human interaction. She then instructs him to hurry up, so he complies, only to ask the attendant for a mannequin, leaving Aoi completely disappointed. Shortly after, they visit a restaurant for lunch, and as they go through the menu to pick a meal, he notices that Aoi really loves cheese. He also talks about how he noticed while listening to the pocket recorder that he always does more mumbling than talking. So Aoi assures him that he can change that. For clarity, she shows him that using short vowel utterances can help him show expressions or gestures rather than express in words. As they continue to discuss, he hears the attendant calling his name, only to realize that it is Fuka. Aoi then steps in to greet Fuka since he suddenly lost his tongue, and the two chicks start to engage in a short discussion before Fuka returns to her duty post. After Fuka leaves, Aoi starts talking about her intention to make Fuka his girlfriend. Hearing this catches him by surprise, and she explains that Fuka is the only one showing him a green light because, apart from the fact that Fuka had a tissue during the tissue incident, Fuka also said his name first when she brought them food, which is quite a stretch since Aoi is more popular in school than him. He quickly points out that he does not think Fuka is someone he would love to date, but Aoi just asks if he finds Fuka cute, and when he agrees, Aoi concludes that he is interested, so he should try to get to know her. Getting home a few hours later, Fumiya checks out his new hair after visiting the barbershop earlier, and while at it, his sister interrupts him once again. The following morning, he rushes to tell Aoi that his little sister complimented his new look. Aoi then congratulates him on how someone already notices his new change, and even though he thinks he is just mimicking a mannequin, she encourages him to still give credit to himself. For his next quest, Aoi instructs him to go on a date with a chick from their class, which catches him completely off guard, and he immediately starts to complain. Aoi, however, ignores his tantrum and informs him that he has to start talking with Izume twice a day because doing that is going to raise his chances with any other chick he tries to talk to. He feels that doing that is insincere, so she reminds him that a loser like himself has no reason to worry about insincerity. After their meeting, he returns to class to discuss with Izume by bringing up their previous day's assignment. But since she has not done it, she has no idea what he is talking about. This leaves him defeated, and even though he tries to bring up another topic, his brain suddenly displays no signal, so Izume just goes to meet her friend while he shrinks in embarrassment. To make matters worse, he suddenly receives a text from Aoi reminding him that he has to talk to Izume twice a day. After the classes for the day, he tries to talk to Izume once again, but fails terribly. So when he returns for his meeting with Aoi, she starts to talk about how he could have done things differently. Sensing that he is starting to get cold feet, she pushes him off his chair and starts to encourage him to put in more effort to get his desired result. Hearing this, he decides to give it his best shot, and he starts talking to Izume for the days that follow. By the end of the week, he sits in the library, thinking of new things he can discuss with Izume, only for Fuka to suddenly interrupt him. She then talks about how she has been noticing him coming to the library often, and he replies that he has been doing some research, even though he is just there to do some personal thinking. She also calls his attention to the book he is reading, stating that she is a fan of the author, but he really just grabbed the book because it is on the closest shelf to where he is sitting. When she eventually starts to talk about the author's book, he just plays along. Fuka, however, is just glad that she has seen someone similar to her book-wise, so she opens up to him about a novel she is currently writing, and how she would love for him to read the manuscript and give her feedback. He agrees to read it to avoid making her sad, and she gladly informs him that she will bring it to the library next time. As she takes her leave, she tells him a word from the book he is reading, so he quickly takes a sneak peek and replies to her with the first word he sees. Shortly after, he returns to meet Aoi for their meeting, and she tells him the meaning of the word he told Fuka earlier is a kind of secret handshake. He then begins to feel bad that he may have led her on. Still, she encourages him that as long as he gets to go on a date with her, and they enjoy themselves without bringing up the author, it is a win-win situation. She then moves on to tell him about the result of his task of talking to Izume, and she instructs him that he passed because he did not let their first failed discussion let him down. After the meeting, he goes to pack his stuff from his locker, only to see Izume sitting sadly at the school's entrance. He then contemplates talking to her since he has completed the task, but he still goes to meet her, only for him to run out of what to say. Just then, he remembers one of Aoi's lectures on how to approach a chick, so he asks about her gloomy face. Izuki, however, barks at him in response, stating that her face is okay, so he quickly apologizes. Defeated, he takes his leave, thinking he has let Aoi down, but Izume suddenly stops him and asks him to teach her how to play takfam. Fumiya and Izuki walk home together, and he learns from her that Shuji has been practicing takfam a lot lately. He also finds out that Izuki is sad because Shuji won't teach her takfam, so she bought one for herself to learn it. Turns out she thinks Shuji has a crush on her because he is always hanging out with her, only for him to change abruptly since the TACFAM issue. Fumiya then offers to teach her, and she immediately suggests they practice at her place. They then go to her place to practice, and Fumiya complains that she moves like a textbook beginner. To help her become a pro, he starts to teach her a technique, but she finds it hard to do so he hands her a broken stopwatch and teaches her how to use it to practice. As he continues to explain, he starts to demonstrate like a game show host, and Izume even points it out to him. He then realizes that he is starting to act like a boy, so he comports himself and tells her to focus on memorizing games. He shows her a game he saved of 2 top players and tells her to watch it judiciously in order to replicate their moves. He also draws out each character's move for better understanding, and she becomes amused by his work rate at something that is not even a school assignment. She then asks if he doesn't feel a certain way about how he is too good to compete with anybody in the game, and he replies that he does not really care because he just focuses on setting new goals and meeting them. Hearing this, she opens up about how she cannot see things his way, even if she tries to change. He then lets her know that he always saw life as an unreasonable garbage game, but when he ran into someone some time back, they had a serious discussion about life, and he started playing life like a game that he eventually thinks is good. On that note, he encourages her to embrace change, too. The following day, he has lunch with Aoi, who advises him not to get carried away with his interaction with Izume and asks if he has decided. She hands him cinema tickets he can use for the date. Getting home later in the evening, he plays the pocket recorder he has been using to practice his proposal speech for Fuka, only for him to accidentally switch it to a discussion Aoi heard before handing him the recorder, and he praises her work rate. The following morning, he finds out that Izume is improving faster than he expected, which leaves him impressed. During break time, he runs into Fuka at the library, and he uses the chance to open up about how he has never read any of the books he claimed he read, and apologizes. Fuka, however, is unbelievably calm about it, and he promises to have a nice conversation with her the next time they meet at the library, which she gladly agrees to. After they are done with the classes for the day, he stares at his cinema tickets, thinking of the next time he can be opportune to ask her on a date, because it would have been rude to ask earlier. As he proceeds to leave the school afterwards, Shuji's friends stop him and take him to an old classroom, where he is to play TACFAM with Shuji. He then settles down to play with him, only for Izume to join them seconds later. Shuji quickly goes off at her because he did not want her there, but she states that she is there to play TACFAM with him. Still, he refuses because his tunnel vision is set on defeating Fumiya. With that, they begin the game, and Fumiya defeats him within seconds. Fumiya then stands to leave, thinking his job is done. But Shuji tells him to sit, claiming he will defeat him with the character he is currently using. Fumiya agrees, and they begin an intense round 2. While at it, Aoi joins them in the room because she has been looking for Fumiya, and Izume quickly explains what is going on to her. Shuji loses the round soon after, but he just tells them to go for another round, so Fumiya complies. Fumiya then wins every round after that, leaving Shuji increasingly frustrated, but he refuses to give up. Then a round comes where he steals one of Fumiya's stocks, even though he ended up losing. Fumiya tries to praise him for that, but he just tells him to shut up and let them continue. Immediately, Erika, one of Shuji's friends, tells Shuji to chill because it is beginning to get weird as hell. This then leads to an intense argument between the two, but Erika has the upper hand by claiming that all his effort at practicing is useless since he has not even won a round in the stupid game. Hearing Erika call TACFAM stupid ticks Fumiya off, and he lashes out at her as he starts to explain how the game works, as he created it himself. As he continues to crash out, the others just stare at him in amusement because they have never seen him that angry. He then shifts his conversation to defending Shiju by explaining how he has improved since the last time they played, so she should stop mocking other people's hard work. Erika just calmly calls him a freak in response because she does not understand why he is so worked up. Izume then tries to defend Fumiya, which amuses Erika, but Izume claims that she understands because she has also been playing TACFAM recently. Feeling bored with the conversation, Erika takes her leave. Izume then feels relieved because she was actually scared talking to Erika, and Shuji pets her, stating that she did great. After that, they all take their leave, but Fumiya and Aoi stay behind, and Fumiya teases her for not saying anything during the argument. 2 days later, the two of them meet up for lunch, and when she asks him for the update on asking Fuka out, he just shows her the tickets and asks if she would love to go with him instead. Unfortunately, she replies that she would be busy on the day, and he starts to think that he may have been rejected. But she suggests that they just go see a different movie after they are done eating. which leaves him elated that his hard work is finally paying off. The following day in class, Fumiya and Izu may start to talk about Takfam, and he uses the chance to ask if she has gotten a birthday gift for Shuji. Surprised, she asks about how he knows about the birthday in the first place, and he starts to think of what he can use to reply because it was Aoi that suggests he ask about it. During lunch break, Mizusawa, one of Shuji's friends, walks up to Fumiya to praise him on how he defended himself during the game and lets him know that he actually has people on his side who are silently rooting for him. Fumiya then goes to inform Aoi about the conversation and how Mizusawa also suggested he go for a bite with him, stating that they invite her and another chick along. Impressed, she tells him to invite the other chick for the outing, and he starts to think of any approachable chick he can ask. He then suggests bringing Izume along because they can use the chance to ask Mizusawa for advice on what to give Shuji as a birthday gift, since he is Shuji's best pal. However, when he tells Izume the following morning, she rejects the invite because she does not want to disturb them and drag them on her shopping trip. This makes him realize that Izume can actually read the room, but still, he refuses to relent and offers that he would also be buying a gift for Shuji because he wants them to patch things up. Izume then happily agrees because she is friends with both of them, and she does not like the little rift going on between them. A few hours later, he settles down for dinner with his family, only for him to receive a text stating that Aoi has invited her to a group chat with her friends. Surprised, he stares at his phone to confirm his eyes are not glitching, and he continues to stare at it until late in the evening when he eventually accepts the request. He then finds out that their outing is going to be the following weekend. When the day finally arrives, Fumiya complains to Aoi about how he feels like he is going to be left out, but she replies that he was the one who turned a quick bite into a shopping trip. Soon after, they begin the shopping trip, and Izume starts to have a hard time choosing what she can get for Shuji, so she calls on Fumiya for help. Surprised, he tells her to think of what he knows about him. She thanks him in response and quickly points out how close Aoi and Mizusawa are. She then tells him a rumor about how the two are dating, which leaves him extremely surprised. His mind immediately goes to the task Aoi gave him for the day, which is to try to give a suggestion that the group must follow, because that will teach him how to eventually do it for bigger groups in the future. With that still at the back of his mind, he settles with Izume for a drink break, and they continue to talk about the difficulty in picking a gift for Shuji. Izuki then asks him for suggestions, because her head is currently blank, and he uses the chance to come up with what she can get him by stating his physical characteristics. Hearing this makes Izume blurt out that she can get him styling wax for his hair, so when Aoi and Mizusawa join them, she quickly informs them of her new plan. Mizusawa then offers to show her the kind Shuji is going to like. As this is going on, Aoi gives Fumiya the death stare because he is supposed to be coming up with something, so when Fumiya tries to step up, Mizusawa beats him to it and suggests a place they can go to, which leaves Aoi disappointed. Getting to the store, Mizusawa decides to use Fumiya's hair to test the styling gel they settled on, and after he is done, Aoi and Izume are happy with the result. Thanks to that, Izume finally gets a present for Shuji, and they all head out together while Fumiya uses the chance to check himself out in the nearest mirror. Shortly after, Fumiya gets his present for Shuji, and when Mizusawa asks if anyone is hungry, they all agree. He then starts to look for nearby restaurants they can visit, and when he points out Aoi's obsession with cheese, it piques Fumiya's interest immediately. Getting to the restaurant, Fumiya starts to watch Mizusawa and Aoi closely like a spy on a mission. Then, on his way back home shortly after, he texts Izume to confirm if Aoi and Mizusawa's dating rumors are true, only to realize that she is also not sure. The following morning, Aoi expresses her disappointment in Fumiya for not completing the task she gave him during the outing, but his mind is too occupied with her dating rumors to show remorse. He then tries to bring it up, but upon realizing that she is cranky, he decides against it. She asks if he has any observations during the course of the outing, and he talks about how he feels his face can now enter a beauty contest with the Greek gods. Hearing this makes her happy, and she immediately compares it to him reaching a high level in a video game. He then talks about how Mizusawa's suggestions were pretty solid, even though he suggested going to the store was too fancy for his pocket. Aoi quickly tells him to stop selling himself short and also lets him know that there is nothing in the store that Shuji would have liked. Moving on, she asks about the meal they had at the restaurant, and when she learns that he finds the meal subpar, she lets him know that the key to a successful suggestion is to just make people interested. However, this just makes him mad because it means people can easily fall for bad suggestions too, and she claims that the suggestion rule just ranks persuasive suggestions over quality ones. Still, he finds it weird, so she tries to explain it from a game point of view, since that is the only way he can understand it, and it works like magic. During their next lessons, their class teacher informs them that it is time for student nomination, and anyone interested should signify. Aoi immediately signifies her interest, and just then, Minami shows interest in contesting too. The following morning, Aoi informs Fumiya that they will be pausing their meetings till after the student council election, and he agrees only for her to drop the bombshell that he will be Minami's campaign manager. Even though he is surprised, she ignores him and begins to explain the responsibilities of a campaign manager, but states that if Minami refuses to make him her manager, then he must continue to train on his own. Still, he does not feel the need to support Minami because she may lose because of him. Aoi then assures him that even though Minami is one of her besties, she is very confident that she is going to beat her. After their discussion, Fumiya runs into Minami in the hallway, and he uses the chance to ask if he can be her campaign manager. Unfortunately for him, Minami declines his request because she feels he is as unreliable as an umbrella with holes in it. Shortly after, he expresses his worries regarding the student election to Fuka, who also happens to share the same sentiment. Fuka reveals that Minami may want to make some changes to the school and also to herself, and honestly, Fuka feels like changing herself too. Getting home a few hours later, Fumiya starts to wonder why Fuka would want to change, and also why an outgoing person like Minami would want to change herself too. The following morning, he is still deep in thought about this as he heads to school, only to run into Minami and her campaign manager running a campaign by the school's entrance. Minami apologizes for not picking him and assures him that he will holler at him if anything comes up. He then continues to walk into the school, only to see Aoi and Mizusawa acting as her campaign manager, also doing their own round of campaign. Seeing how diligent Aoi is with the students, he starts to wonder if Minami even has a chance at winning at all. After the first lessons, he runs into Minami in the hallway once again, and she shows him her manifesto. As he goes through it, he wonders why she did not ask her so-called campaign manager, after which he points out that the layout for the manifesto has some issues. He then takes her to the computer room to reprint the manifesto and shows her the difference. Impressed, she compliments his competency, and he offers to be of help if she has any other brain-tasking stuff she needs help with. She immediately agrees to this because she does not mind having a brain she can call on, and since her campaign manager is busy with her schoolwork, she would love for him to fill her role. He then gets into manager mode and suggests they print a lot of campaign flyers. Even though Minami is excited about this, she questions why he is so hell-bent on helping her out. This makes him think for a while before he replies that he wants to help her beat Aoi because, according to his games, the tougher the opponent, the more fired up he gets. Minami assures him that she is with him on that because she would also love to beat Aoi too. They then start to print the campaign flyers. After they are done, they head to the gym to campaign to the students at the sports club, but Minami just rushes inside before he can finish talking about his plans. She then goes to caress innocent Tama like a dog on heat, leaving him completely stunned. While she continues to do this, Shiori, a senior, hits Minami with a cone, and when she learns of what Minami did to Tama, she angrily hits her with a cone once again. This somehow resets Minami's brain, and she campaigns to Shiori that if the sports club votes for her, they will be getting an electric ball pump. Shiori then promises to tell the other club members about it, which leaves Minami extremely excited. A few hours later, Fumiya and Minami settle down to talk about how great their campaigning for the day went. While at it, he notices a weird toy on her backpack, and he asks about it. She then reveals that she bought it because she thinks it is cute, but he does not share her sentiment. Moving on, she asks for their strategy for the next day, and as he begins to dive into it, she suddenly stops him to ask why he is working really hard to beat Aoi. Even though it is because they are rivals in TACFAM, he refuses to tell her and just returns the question to her. Minami then reveals that Aoi always gets first position in whatever they contest in, thereby getting all the recognition, while she is always stuck with second position. She also reveals that even though she dropped to third in their last examination, nobody noticed since she was not the first, so this time around, she just wishes to become first for once. The following day, Fumiya visits Tama at the gym for some help regarding Minami's campaign. After they are done, Tama advises him not to push Minami too hard in the election, because Minami loves to overdo things, and he agrees to look out for her. 2 days later, Minami rushes to tell him that she has just completed one of their plans. Apparently, he told her to visit the junior student classes to promise them the installation of air conditioners in their classrooms if she gets voted as student council president. Since the juniors do not know much, they are going to easily believe it compared to the older grades who know how the school system works better. With that done, He hands her the campaign speech he wrote for her, not knowing that Aoi is watching them from afar. After Minami finishes going through it, she thanks him for his help, but he just tells her to let them focus on beating Aoi, and she nods in agreement. The following morning, Fumiya and Aoi head to the school gym together, and they use the chance to do a little catch-up. Aoi expresses her disappointment at not being able to play tag fam lately because of the student council activities, and Fumiya basically lets her know that they are playing a game in real life with the election coming up. Shortly after, Aoi gives his campaign speech to the whole school, and a few minutes into starting, she is already cracking the students up. Seeing this leaves Minami worried, but Fumiya tells her not to fret, because they still have their secret strategy. As Aoi continues her speech, she suddenly promises the sports club an electric ball pump, which catches both Fumiya and Aoi completely off guard. To make matters worse, she also promises to install air conditioners in every classroom during her tenure. Hearing this immediately sends Minami into panic mode, while Fumiya is in disbelief that she is pitching air conditioners to the whole school when he and Minami only settled for the juniors. After Aoi is done, Minami's campaign manager goes to give the supporting speech for Minami, and when she is done, she begins to apologize to Minami for messing up her lines. Minami just pats her on the head for doing a good job and goes to give her a speech. During her speech, Fumiya quickly does damage control by setting up Plan B. Minami then begins to communicate with a virtual assistant that Fumiya already stationed, which amuses the student. After she is done, she goes to hug Fumiya for helping her out, but Fumiya has a hard time concentrating because her melons are literally pressed on his flat chest. Shortly after, the two of them run into Aoi and Mizusawa. Mizusawa expresses his surprise over the fact that Fumiya is helping Minami, but Aoi just urges Mizusawa to let them excuse themselves since they are still rivals till the election is over. As they take their leave, Minami comments on their proximity and wonders if the rumor about the two of them dating is true. When the results for the election finally come out, Aoi comes out victorious. However, Minami still thanks Fumiya for helping her out in the election. She then starts to talk about how she would never give up, but instead work harder to be better. Though Fumiya does not know if she is just reciting the grind gospel to herself, he encourages her anyway. The following morning, he resumes his next meeting with Aoi, and she asks if the virtual assistant stuff was his handiwork. Upon realizing that it is, she bursts into laughter before telling him that it was quite fun. He, however, still feels she did him a dirty by stealing their entire strategy, but she just informs him that they should have been more discreet with their plan. Still, she encourages him to always put himself out there because she feels he has great potential. After the meeting, he visits the library, hoping to talk to Fuka since he still has the task of taking her on a date. As he pretends to read his book, his mind keeps cooking up strategies on how to go about it, thereby forcing Fuka to ask if he is okay. He then uses the chance to try to ask her on a movie date, and she gladly nods in agreement. For the days that follow, he reads a book from Fuka's favorite author, in hopes of getting to know her more, only for him to find the book quite interesting. Then one day, he exits the library after reading the novel for hours, only to see Tama in the hallway. He walks up to her to ask what's up, and he finds out that she is watching Aoi and Minami in a race. She then opens up to him about the election and the fact that she knows Minami won't give in even if she knows she is not going to win, which is quite scary. Hearing this makes him remember the discussion he had with Minami on how she wishes to win, and he totally understands Minami's point of view. The following week, he meets with Aoi for their usual meeting. Aoi reveals that Minami has been working too hard since the election defeat. She then asks him if setting up new goals and analyzing his progress can be regarded as effort, and he replies that it is. With that, she claims that she does not see anything wrong in Minami working harder, and he agrees since effort is not a bad thing. However, she feels putting in too much effort into something may lead to more difficult problems coming up because she can relate, which leaves him completely confused. After the meeting, he suddenly runs into Minami in the hallway, which completely startles him because he was lost in his thoughts. He then informs her about how he heard that she has been putting a lot of effort into practice lately, and she quickly confirms it, adding that she is also doing the same for her studies. He tells her he is rooting for her, but she just asks about how he knew about her practices. When she confirms that it is from Tama, she pesters him to spill how Tama told him. Confused, he replies that Tama told him normally, so she just bids him farewell and runs off, while he just stares at her in confusion. A few hours later, he finds Tama watching Aoi and Minami's practice again, and he joins her to discuss Minami. He asks if Minami is always that competitive, but Tama does not know because she has not really known her for long. Apparently, Tama was not great at making friends when she just joined the school, But Minami made it her life mission to always disturb her. Though she was annoyed at first, that did not stop Minami from disturbing her. Thanks to that, she started to open up and eventually made more friends. While Tama continues to gist with Fumiya about her friendship with Minami, a determined Minami continues to race with Aoi until she eventually catches up with Aoi. After the race, Minami and Tama begin their usual quarrel while Aoi goes to ask Fumiya about his day. Fumiya then quickly briefs her, after which she goes to meet Minami and Tama and orders Minami to behave herself, only for Minami to suddenly drink her coffee instead. A few years ago, Minami and Aoi competed in a basketball tournament, and Aoi's team won the match. Minami's team then began to talk about how they are just glad they made it that far, which made Minami furious. Back in the present, Minami dozes off in class, and her teacher quickly calls on her. She immediately claims that she just blacked out, so her teacher drops it and continues her teaching. However, Fumiya and her other friends become worried that she may be pushing herself a little too far. A few hours later, Fumiya joins Tama to watch Aoi and Minami's race once again, and Tama expresses worry about how Minami is overdoing it. After Aoi and Minami are done with the race, Fumiya and Tama join them, and they walk home together. As they continue to walk, Tama starts to think of what she can do to help Minami, till she eventually bids the group farewell. Minami and Fumiya bid Aoi farewell soon after, and the two continue to walk home. Fumiya then uses the chance to ask Minami if she is overworking herself because she still feels the need to beat Aoi. She replies that although the competition sucks so much that she wishes to stop, it is just probably going to suck more if she decides to quit now. Hearing this, he encourages her to continue because he can understand where she is coming from. The following morning, Aoi and Minami continue their morning practice, and as Minami starts to lag, she gets flashbacks from her basketball tournament. Apparently, she crashed out on her teammates after hearing them embracing defeat. Her teammates then told her not to be too hard on herself since she single-handedly brought them that far, and she became glad. Being lost in thought suddenly makes her miss her step while still running, but she quickly regains herself and laughs it off, while Aoi starts to feel concerned for her. When Aoi meets with Fumiya for their meeting, she quickly informs him of how she thinks Aoi may reach her breaking point soon and how she wishes to talk some sense into her before she ends up starring in her own tragic episode of Grey's Anatomy. Fumiya just asks why Minami is obsessed with her in the first place, and she replies that even though it was during a basketball tournament, it is not her story to tell. On that note, he goes to meet Minami's campaign manager for more details. The following morning, Minami does her usual morning jogging till she is out of breath. She then returns home to study, and when she eventually gets to school, she just sleeps through her class. Then after classes, Tama and Fumiya express their gratitude for the heavy downpour, since it will prevent Aoi and Minami from practicing, only for them to notice someone walking in the rain. Immediately, they rush out, thinking it is Minami, only for them to get there and see it is Aoi. The following day, Tama checks on Minami, who informs her that she took the day off yesterday. Tama then lets her know she is heading out for club practice, and she promises to catch up with her, but when practice starts, she refuses to join them. Soon after, Fumiya sees Minami walking home, and he immediately runs to catch up with her. Getting to her, he informs her that he knows about the basketball issue and asks if that was what made her start competing against Aoi. This makes her open up about how she went to watch Aoi's next match after her team beat hers. Though Aoi's team came second, she noticed how angry Aoi looked because another team came first. Seeing Aoi's zeal then made her realize that compared to Aoi, she is just an ordinary person, and she is determined to become special like her. When they transferred to the same school, Aoi immediately recognized her and praised her playing skills. Seeing this made her intrigued with Aoi's personality, and she started to look up to her as her role model ever since. After she is done with her explanation, she thanks him for letting her open up to him because she now feels more relieved. He then advises her not to get too obsessed with coming in first because she shines brightly anyway. She thanks him for his advice and runs off, which makes him wonder if his advice got to her. The following week, Aoi informs him that Minami has been skipping their club practice for a while, and as this is going on, Minami is currently handing her club resignation letter to their class teacher. Shortly after, Tama goes to confirm with Minami if the news of her quitting is true, and just in time, Aoi joins in their conversation. Minami then apologizes to Aoi for quitting abruptly, claiming it has to do with fatigue, while the rest of the class stares in amusement. A few hours later, Minami calls out to Tama that she is heading home, and Fumiya suddenly interrupts her to inform her that he would love to follow her in the company of Tama. The three then settle down in a shed soon after, and Tama asks Minami if she now dislikes Aoi since she quit the club. Minami replies that she does not because they get along well, and Aoi always looks out for her. With tears in her eyes, she then reveals that she just does not like the fact that she always loses to her to the extent that it is now making her jealous of her, so she just had to quit the club. Tama then pets her and lets her know that she is her hero, no matter what, because she likes her a lot. With that, Minami returns to the club after apologizing, and they accept her. 2 days later, Izume hands Shuji his birthday present, while Fumiya watches them from afar. He then remembers his task of the day is to give Shuji his gift and engage him in a conversation for 3 minutes, so he summons courage and goes to meet him and hands him his present. After that, he starts to explain the reason for getting him such a gift, and when he is done, Aoi angrily stares at him because it was not for up to 3 minutes, so he tries to come up with something, and he suddenly asks if Aoi and Mizusawa are dating. A few minutes later, Minami and the others start to laugh at him for his choice of conversation, before Aoi finally confirms that she is not dating Mizusawa. The following week, Fumiya and Aoi meet up for lunch, and since it is summer break, Aoi asks him what he plans to do during the break. Realizing that he plans to stay idle, she instructs him to focus on getting a chick to go on a date with him. After their lunch, they head to the nearest clothing store, but his mind keeps replaying their earlier discussion. Apparently, she wants Fuka to be his girlfriend because she feels they have a lot in common, so she advises him to go on the movie date he planned with her, and after that, he should come up with other ideas for them to get close. Now he is on a pretend date with her because she wants to train him for when he eventually goes on a date with Fuka. While at it, they check out new outfits he can add to his wardrobe. After that, she gives him her backpack, which he can also use to enhance his outfit choice, but he refuses because he does not want to feel like a burden. In that case, she picks up a cute piece she finds and forces him to pay for it in exchange for getting the backpack. With his outfit problem out of the way, the two of them go to play Takfam at the arcade, and he realizes that she has gotten even better than before, which only excites him more. They then head for a quick coffee break, where she urges him to send Fuka a friend request already. He sends the request, and she starts to dish out instructions on how to start up a conversation with her. He then follows her instructions and sends Fuka a message asking that they meet up for the movie date. A minute later, Fuka responds, stating that she is all in, and Aoi starts to tease him about how Fuka is down bad for him. After they are done for the day, she invites him to a hangout with her friends that is coming up soon, which leaves him worried because he does not think he can deal with her friends. She, however, tells him to relax because the time he spends with her friends will help him make more guy friends since he has been moving like a woman rapper later. He then agrees to go for her sake, which makes her inform him that he will be meeting with them for a strategic meeting the next day. And he must mess with Mizusawa 3 times during the course of the meeting to stand his ground if he does not want to be the group's designated punching bag. The following day, Fumiya meets up with Mizusawa, who immediately compliments his outfit by asking if he has been set free from loser land. But this only makes Fumiya wonder how he is supposed to mess with him. Aoi stops by seconds after, and they head to Minami's place for the meeting, only for them to realize she can't accept guests at the moment. Aoi then suggests they go to Fumiya's house, only for them to get there and his sister begins to act starstruck. After his sister runs off to tell their mother, he welcomes them in. Getting to his room, Minami starts to snoop around to look for where he keeps his cultured videos, only to find old controllers instead. He then uses the chance to give a boring talk on how the controllers are no longer sleek enough to play Takfam. Shortly after, they settle down for their meeting, which is to get Shuji and Izume together during the hangout. As they start to drop their 2 cents on the issue, Fumiya makes sure he drops his point too, so he doesn't feel left out. After they are done with the meeting, Mizusawa finds out that Fumiya also got a styling gel. Fumiya explains that he does not use it because he does not know how to, so Mizusawa helps him with it and teaches him how to go about the process. While at it, Mizusawa comments on how diligent he was with Minami's speech and asks why. He simply replies that he does not like losing at games. Though Mizusawa understands where he is coming from, he urges him to loosen up and enjoy himself. Getting back to Aoi and Minami, they immediately compliment how he looks like a hair model, and on realizing that Mizusawa helped him with, Minami starts to insinuate that something may be going on between the two guys. The day of his movie date with Fuka finally arrives, and he is glad that she even showed up. Together, they head to the movie theater, and he uses the chance to engage her in small talk. Getting to the theater, he keeps staring at her while she just focuses on the movie. After they finish watching the movie, they go for a quick lunch, and he starts to narrate what happened in the movie as if they literally did not just watch it together. He soon realizes that he may be talking too much, and he tries to remember a topic from Aoi's flashcards to keep the conversation interesting. He then asks her when she started getting interested in books, and she opens up about how she started when she was younger. The conversation soon shifts to their meal, and he is glad that he is handling the discussion well. Soon after, Fuka lets him know that he has this mysterious aura where he is really easy to talk to one day and he becomes really hard to talk to the next. Disappointed, he feels like he has gone back to level 0. When they eventually head back home, Fuka thanks him for taking her on the date before explaining what she meant by her earlier statement. Apparently, she always thought it was hard to talk to guys, but there were times when she found talking to them easy, which is actually a first for her. She also lets him know that she did not mean the comment in a bad way, but in a good way, and on that note, she informs him that she would love to go out with him again. A few hours later, he receives a phone call from Aoi asking for the gist about his date on his way home, and he informs her. When he eventually gets home, he quickly sends a text to Fuka, suggesting that they should go for a fireworks show on their next date, and she replies seconds later, stating that she will be available. 2 days later, Fumiya takes a picture with Aoi and her friends to begin the celebration of their hangout, which is also going to be an overnight camping experience. After that, they head to the camp, and Aoi instructs Fumiya that he must tease Shuji 3 times during the course of the trip. She also points out that he must become friendlier with Mizusawa to increase his chances of making guy friends. Soon after, they arrive at the camp, and Aoi starts assigning tasks to them. Izume and Shuji will be in charge of food preparation, Mizusawa, Take, and Minami will be in charge of table and chair setup, while she and Fumiya will be in charge of setting up the fire. With that, Fumiya and Aoi start the fire preparation, and he uses the chance to ask what's up. He then learns that Aoi just wants Izume and Shuji to spend more time together while keeping the others busy. Shortly after, they all settle down for a barbecue, and as they all engage themselves in conversations, Fumiya secretly watches them with a smile on his face, realizing that having a little fun may not be harmful after all. After the meal, Izume complains that she might have eaten too much, and Shuji agrees that she ate like a glutton, which makes her tell him to shut up. In the meantime, Mizusawa invites the others to hang out with him by the river, and they all show up in their various choices of swimming outfits. As they continue to play, Fumiya notices that Izume and Shuji are finally playing together, which leaves him impressed that the plan is working. Seconds later, he notices Take pranking Izume with a river crab. A scared Izume trips, and Shuji quickly catches her before she falls into the river. Seeing this leaves Fumiya relieved that Take's crazy stunt only got them closer. A few hours later, the guys rest in their cabin. Shuji suddenly feels the urge to play a game of cards and calls on Fumiya to get it. Mizusawa quickly interrupts Shuji to ask if anything spicy is going on between him and Izume. Shuji replies that they are just friends while Fumiya sits in shock, wondering what would have happened if Mizusawa had not interrupted Shuji. Take soon steps in to shade Shuji for getting dumped by Izume in the first place, but Shuji just wonders what they are up to with the sudden questions. Mizusawa replies that they are just doing what needs to be done on an overnight trip, and when he turns to Fumiya, Fumiya immediately agrees. However, Shuji's reaction to Fumiya agreeing with Mizusawa shocks Fumiya, but Shuji ignores him and continues to yap on about how Izume has been trying to get in touch with him lately, even though she has a boyfriend of her own. Mizusawa and Take point out that it must be hard for Shuji to move on, and he agrees, commenting on how hot she looks. Fumiya just continues to listen to their banter until he makes a face that Shuji does not find funny. Fumiya quickly corrects himself, stating it is nothing, and Mizusawa asks him to drop his 2 cents on the matter. Fumiya then points out that Izume may just be using Shuji to catch a cruise, which only makes Mizusawa and Take burst into thunderous laughter. Shuji quickly tells Fumiya not to push his luck, but Fumiya is just relieved that he has teased Shuji once. Mizusawa asks if Shuji has any other chick in mind, and he opens up about how the chick he is interested in only comes to him for romantic advice, but when he explains the advice to the guys, Fumiya feels Shuji may be referring to Izume. Soon after, Fumiya and Mizusawa give Aoi the gist about Shuji through their separate group chat, and this is how they confirm that the chick Shuji was referring to was Izume. After that, they visit the girls' cabin to play a game of cards, and when they are done, everyone starts to comment on their ranks in the concluded game. Izume talks about how she always ends up being the beggar in the game, and Shuji starts to make fun of her. Fumiya then decides to use the situation to his advantage, and he shades Shuji for ending lower in rank than Shuji, which makes the others start to laugh. The conversation soon shifts to asking about Mizusawa's crush, and he talks about how they've been going on dates frequently, which makes the others cheer for him. A few minutes later, Fumiya sits with Mizusawa to get more details about Mizusawa's crush. Realizing that Mizusawa does not really like the chick, he wonders why Mizusawa would date someone he does not like. But Mizusawa refuses to give him a straight answer on that. Shortly after, the guys have their bath, and upon seeing Fumiya's huge sausage, Take quickly drags him up for the others to see. The others then begin to name the poor dude sausage till Take eventually drops him. Immediately, he sees Shuji's sausage and calls him tiny, which makes the others laugh, while he just sighs that he has completed his task. Afterwards, the group decides to go on a haunted mission, but Izume becomes scared that she holds Shuji's shorts for support. Seeing this, Mizusawa starts to call them lovebirds, and Izume quickly removes her hand to defend that nothing is going on between them. Still, Shuji tells her to ignore them and follow him, so they head out together. As they walk off, Minami hopes that their strategy of getting them to date works out eventually. Minami, Take, and Mizusawa head out next, thereby leaving Aoi and Fumiya behind. Aoi then uses the chance to perform a special training by falling on Fumiya, but Fumiya just chickens out. Aoi points out that he must be confident at all times in case he finds a damsel in distress he needs to save, but he finds it hard to concentrate because he can literally feel her melons. To make matters worse, a bee suddenly distracts them, which makes her hide behind him, and he internally pleads with his brain cells not to let him get a hard-on. Afterwards, they head back to the cabin together, and he sees a cicada on the way. Feeling mischievous, he pretends to step on the insect to scare her, and she kneels in fear, after which she claims she can't stand up. He then proceeds to help her up, only for her to flip the script and get him in a kissing position. Thinking it is a staring competition, Fumiya stares at Aoi, determined not to break eye contact, so Aoi leans in for a kiss, which eventually makes him fumble. Aoi brags about being the winner, after which she urges him to let them continue their journey. As they continue to walk, he begins to wonder what would have happened if he had stayed put earlier. Shortly after, the group returns to the cabin for a group picture. However, Shuji and Izume start to bicker like a couple going through a terrible divorce, which makes the others wonder if setting them up was a good idea. Mizusawa then informs them that the two plan to hang out later, but Aoi, frustrated at how slow they are taking it, wishes they would just take lessons from Mizusawa on how to move at full speed. With that, she turns to wish Mizusawa that things go well with him and his crush. After that, she sits with Fumiya to give him an overall review of his time at the camp. Fumiya then brags about the times he put Shuji in his place, so she gives him a pass for that. Just then, they hear footsteps approaching them, and Fumiya immediately runs to hide like a drug dealer, avoiding the cops. Soon after, Mizusawa walks up to Aoi and decides to have a chat with her. Aoi then starts to talk about how she is glad Izume and Shuji are making little progress, and he agrees. Soon after, he reveals how impressed he is with not just Izume and Shuji but also Fumiya, who is now slowly coming out of his shell. As they continue to discuss, Fumiya listens in from his hiding spot and overhears Mizusawa talking about how he would love to treat life like a game too. Mizusawa continues to open up to Aoi as he talks about how he feels like he has just been putting up a show all this time, and it makes Fumiya wonder if he should even be listening to this kind of private conversation. Aoi then opens up about how she also feels like she is just watching herself from a distance sometimes because people expect a lot from her. To prove them right, she would unconsciously suppress her real self and play the part people wanted her to play so as not to let them down. As Fumiya continues to listen in on the conversation, he has a strong feeling that Aoi is not being genuine with her words. During the course of the conversation, Mizusawa informs her that when he is usually around chicks, he always plays the role of the ideal boyfriend to find out how they really feel about him, so he can have them wrapped around his fingers. Now he is opening up to her, which is quite strange because he has never opened up to a chick before. On that note, he confesses to her that he has feelings for her, and he hopes that one day he gets to find out how she truly feels. Unfortunately, she does not feel the same for him, and he handles the rejection like a gentleman, since he was already expecting it. However, he lets her know he is not going to give up on her before genuinely asking when she would start to show her real self. Just then, Fumiya interrupts them because he cannot take it anymore and apologizes for eavesdropping on their conversation. Aoi quickly explains Fumiya's situation to Mizusawa, and Mizusawa laughs in response because he was not expecting Fumiya to be that stupidly honest about hiding. Still, Fumiya feels it would have been weird to stay hidden, so Aoi suggests that they pretend the conversation never happened and just head to the cabin instead. But on the way back, Mizusawa mumbles that he does not want to pretend that the conversation he had with her never happened. The following morning, the group leaves the camp to return to their respective houses. When Fumiya eventually reaches home, he receives a text from Aoi suggesting that he opens up to Fuka about how he feels for her during their next date, and he wonders how he will go about it. Then the following weekend, he meets with Fuka for their date, only for Fuka to show up as she time-traveled from the past. They then begin to walk to where they want to check out fireworks, and he fills her in on his trip with Aoi and her friends. Getting there, Fuka informs him that she has not been to a fireworks show in years, only for her to realize that it is also the same for him. He then remembers that he did not even memorize any conversational topics for their current date. Soon after, the show starts, and Fuka watches it as if it were one of the 7 wonders of the world. While the show goes on, he quickly interrupts her to ask if she finds it difficult to talk to him currently. She then replies that he has been easy to talk to. He tries to use the chance to summon courage to tell her how he feels, but he decides against it at the last minute. After the show, he meets up with Aoi to inform her that he did not go through with the plan. He explains that since he did not memorize any conversational topics to use as discussion, their conversations were just plain boring, and he was not really feeling it. Then, when he confirms from her that he was easy to talk to, it made him come to a realization that she must have seen through him during the times he was trying too hard to make their conversations flow. Aoi then suggests he stop relying on the topics and focus on having a heart-to-heart conversation with her, but he interrupts her midway and tells her to shut up. Apparently, he feels Aoi is too focused on strategies, thereby neglecting how he truly feels because he does not even know if he genuinely likes Fuka in the first place. Aoi, however, reveals that her take on feelings is that it is nothing more than a fantasy that people mistake as what is best for them at that moment, so she finds it pointless. Still, he feels that her notion is weird, so she hands him the piece he got her in exchange for her backpack. But since it currently contains his belongings, she promises to get it next time. She also lets him know that they don't need to meet up again, since he has chosen to give up, after which she takes her leave. 2 days later, Fumiya busies himself playing TACFAM to distract himself from thinking about Aoi. While at it, his sister barges in to inform him that dinner is ready. But seeing his rough form, she questions why he is turning back to his old loser self before angrily closing his door. Soon after, he steps out of his room only to see his sister already waiting to give him another round of lectures. Turns out she thought he had joined the cool clique in school, but seeing him burying his head in TACFAM for hours makes her feel bad. He then goes to get his food, only for his sister to shade him for not touching his phone in days. He quickly checks it, and he sees that Fuka has already texted him to ask if he is interested in going to the bookstore with her, and he replies that he is interested immediately. The following day, he meets up with Fuka in his old outfits because he wishes to start on a clean slate, and they head out together. Getting to the bookstore, she shows him the kind of books she loves to read before heading to her favorite author's session, and the way she lights up whenever she finds something she likes warms his heart. Shortly after, he goes to use the restroom and takes a long look at himself in the mirror. He then realizes that dressing like his old self just makes him look weak and immature, which makes him sick. He also realizes that he actually enjoyed his time with Aoi as he starts to remember the times she would always give him dangerous tasks to solve. So when he returns to meet Fuka, he comes clean and tells Fuka about how someone has been giving him lessons on how to act normal, and how he used to always rely on flashcards to bring up topics they can talk about. He also points out that their firework outing and their current discussion are the only times he is not relying on the flashcards. Though using those topics to bring up conversations with people made him feel kind of accomplished, he asks her if he should continue relying on them or just stick to his normal self. Fuka then replies that he finds him easy to talk to because she can picture whatever he says. So when she finds him difficult to talk to, it must have been when he was relying on his flashcards for conversations. She also lets him know that when they first started talking, the images of his conversations that she could picture were black and white, which makes her wonder if that is how he sees life. But as they continue to discuss over time, the images she gets are now colorful. With that, she advises him to cherish whoever is in his life who is the source of these colors. Hearing this, he thanks her for her kind words, but she just tells him it is her little way of thanking him for letting her see life in colors. After the outing with Fuka, he sends a text to Aoi stating he would love for them to meet up, and even though she replies that she is not interested, he uses her backpack that he still has with him as a trump card to get them to meet. The following morning, Aoi meets up with him, and he takes her to a spot where they can talk. Getting there, he starts to talk about how he loves playing video games so much. He explains that he loves video games because he can make the characters do whatever he wants without having to experience his own personal weakness or self-hatred through them. He also points out that it is the reason why he dislikes real life, because life always reminds him of how weak he truly is. However, that changed when she came into his life, and she started teaching him how to play the game of life. He then concludes by telling her that he now enjoys playing the game of life, and it is all thanks to her. However, she does not fall for his unsolicited podcast episode and just tells him to prove that he has something he truly wants. He then proudly reveals that to be able to prove something, she should not just ask for proof, but instead, she should go through the process of discovering how she truly feels. On that note, he points out that she has only been viewing things from a player's point of view, thereby missing out on all the fun. Though she is a top-tier player, he believes that when it comes to enjoying the game of life, he beats her at it. He then offers to teach her how to play the game of life in a fun way so that she can find what she truly wants. Even at that, she is still uninterested because she does not believe there is anything like true desires. So he takes himself as an example and explains that his true desires have been fueled by gaming, which is why he is TACFam's top player and not her. Seeing that she is pissed by his statement, he challenges her to beat him in TACFam. She then replies that even though she still does not believe in true desires, she is not going to say that it does not exist, but if he is very sure of himself, he should take his time to prove it and convince her beyond a reasonable doubt. With that out of the way, she asks him for what's next, and he replies that he wants her to keep setting goals for him so that he can work towards them. She worries that some goals may conflict with what he really wants in life, and he assures her that he will just skip such goals. On that note, they agree to continue working as partners. Shortly after, they visit a restaurant for lunch, and he uses the chance to return her backpack. However, she tells him to keep it, but he insists, so she collects it only to see that he returned it with the piece she gave him earlier. He then explains that it is just a means of appreciating her for adding color to his life. She accepts his appreciation and informs him that for his next task, he must get a part-time job. 3 days later, he heads to a karaoke bar for his part-time interview, only for him to realize that Mizusawa and Aoi work there. Thanks for sticking to the end of the video. Let us know in the comments if you would survive a week of Aoi forcing you to complete life game assignments non-stop. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more recaps like this.